Art and Architecture, under which first topic that we'll study is about Mauryan art. Mauryan art can be divided into number of subcategories to study it with a better perspective. So we'll study about Mauryan pillar, we'll study about Mauryan palaces, we'll study about Mauryan sculpture, stupas, poetry and rock cut architecture. Now start with the Mauryan pillar. See, as you can see in the image, this is Mauryan pillar. So in top you can see an animal figure. So this is animal part. Whichever animal, for example, whichever animal will be there, it will be called as that capital. For example, here there is lion capital. So animal capital, whichever animal is there. So animal figure is there on the top. Then you have abacus, that is circular rectangular base, circular or rectangular base. Then you have capital is lotus or bell shaped inverted lotus basically. Then there will be shaft, then it will be made up of a monolithic, there will be a monolithic base that is made up of a single stone. This Mauryan pillar were inspired from the Persian Empire, which is also called Achaemenid Empire, and its ruler Darius. Now let's talk about the similarities and difference between the Achaemenid pillar and the Mauryan pillar. Achaemenid pillar is assembled piece of stone. It is assembled piece of stone, while as Mauryan pillar is monolithic. It is made up of one stone. Achaemenid pillar is made up of stones, while same Mauryan pillar is also made up of stone. The only difference is that in Achaemenid pillar, stones are assembled in pieces to piece by piece, whereas Mauryan pillar are made up of monolithic stone, like one stone. Entire pillar is made up of one stone. In both Mauryan and Achaemenid pillar, polished stones are polished. There is animal capital in both. Achaemenid pillar is often attached to some building, while as Mauryan pillar they stand alone. Both have inverted lotus. Example of Mauryan pillar are, some of the example of Mauryan pillar which are very famous are Rampurva bull capital, that is in Bihar, Sankisa elephant capital, that is in Uttar Pradesh, Sarnath lion capital, that is in Uttar Pradesh, Nandagarh lion capital, that is in Bihar. Now let's talk about Mauryan palaces. Mauryan palaces are inspired from the Achaemenid design. They are generally made up of wood. That's why the reason is that it is no more found, because you know that wood will decay in a time period. But the modern example can be found in Kumharar, although the palace is not left in its totality, only the remains of palace is there. Kumharar is in Patna, Bihar. Now let's talk about Sarnath lion capital. Sarnath lion capital is the Indian national symbol. Sarnath lion capital was commissioned by the Ashoka. So you remember, in order to commemorate the first sermon of Buddha in Sarnath, which is famously known as Dharma Chakra Parivartan, or turning the wheel of Dharma, Ashoka commemorate this Sarnath pillar, or commissioned this Sarnath pillar. This Sarnath pillar, in the Sarnath pillar there are 4 lions which are in 4 different directions. There is an inverted lotus. Animals like bull, lion, elephant and horses are made on its abacus. Along with there is a wheel having 24 spokes. Wheel is inspired from Upanishad. Wheel was adopted in Buddhism and later it was promoted by Ashoka. Now let's talk about Mauryan sculpture. So the best example of Mauryan sculpture is Didarganj Yakshini. It is famously known as the Mona Lisa of Bihar Museum, that is in Patna. So the Didarganj Yakshini is made up of Chunar sandstone and it is found in Bihar. The practice of worshipping Yaksha and Yakshini is there in Buddhism, Jainism and Hinduism also. Now let's study about the Mauryan rock cut architecture. The famous example of the Mauryan rock cut architecture is the Barabar cave. It was constructed during the time of Ashokan Pillar. Barabar caves marks the beginning of the Indian stone architecture. Barabar caves is in Bihar. It belongs to Ajivika sect of Sanatan Dharma. The example of other example of Barabar rock cut architecture is rock cut elephant of the Dholi, that is in Odisha. It was asked in UPSC PYQ in 2014. Now let's talk about Mauryan Stupa. This figure which I am showing you, it has two Pradakshina Patha. You can see on the top there is Chaitri. This Chaitri represented three jewels of Buddhism, that is the Buddha, the Dharma and the Sangha. Then after that you have Harmika. Harmika is basically a square balcony like railing on the top of Anda. It is the adobe of God. The most sacred part of the stupa is the Harmika. Then you have Anda. The outer layer of Anda is made up of burnt bricks, while the inner layer of Anda is made up of mud bricks. Anda is basically the massive semicircular hemisphere mound represent the universe or the mount of creation. Then we have the Pradakshina Patha. So Pradakshina Patha is basically the circumambulatory that is around the Anda and Medha. Then we have Vedika. Vedika is the stone railing or the fence surrounding the entire stupa, separate the sacred space from the secular world. Then we have Torana. Toranas are intricately carved ceremonial gateway, usually in all four directions. You can see the Torana is there in all four directions. This Torana represent the four directions depicted Jataka story. Toranas are basically the post-Mauryan architecture, added later by the Sunga ruler. Then we have Methi, that is the inner boundary. Methi is the circular terrace or the path around the base used for Pradakshina Patha circumambulance. This practice of constructing stupa belongs to Shraman tradition. However, it is common in Hinduism, Buddhism and Jainism. According to an estimate, Ashoka constructed around 88,000 stupa, which made stupa synonymous with Buddhism. Jain stupa can only be found in Mathura region. It is believed that the body relics of Buddhas are buried under these stupas. These stupas were constructed mainly for devotional activities. Sanchi examples of the famous stupas are Sanchi Stupa in Madhya Pradesh, Pipaharwa Stupas in Uttar Pradesh, and the Bharat Stupa in Rajasthan. In Buddhism, you have Chaitas and Viharas. Chaitas are basically the prayer hall, just like in basically Chaitas are the prayer hall, while as Viharas are the place of residence of the Buddhist monk. Ajanta, Ellora are the Buddhist Viharas. Even in Christianity, we have convent, the places of residence of nuns and brothers. Buddhist Sangha, in order to spread Buddhism along the common masses, Buddhism Sanghas were formed. Now let's talk about Mauryan poetry. So before studying about Mauryan poetry, we have to look into the poetry that came before the Mauryas. So in Harappa we have red, black and red poetry. Basically it is called black and red wear. In Vedic poetry you have grey poetry. During the Mahajanpad period, the poetry was northern black polished ware, which was around 600 BC. This northern black polished ware was shiny, costly, rich. It was a symbol of wealth and urbanization. Although it represents economic inequality. Why? Because these items of northern black polished ware were costly. They were items of luxury, and only rich can afford item of luxury, and these were not used for day-to-day activities. This northern black polished ware was there in the pre-Mauryan poetry, which continued even in the Mauryan period that started around 300 BC.